Well, welcome, folks. We are into the second part of the season. My name is Tony Neal, and I'm joined by the man, Sean Jackson, knows everything about the league. How are you, Sean?
Oh, good, thanks, Tony. How are you? Good to see you back.
Mate.
Where have you been this time?
Oh, I've been travelling, mate. I've been travelling over to Melbourne. The Mighty Tigers got up, but I tell you what, couldn't wait to get back here. Adelaide Footy League did Division 7 game on the weekend, but magnificent. We'll cover that a bit later on. Excitement and enthusiasm, mate. That's what's happening around the league. Fair dinkum, the results, the goal scorers, but the results that's going on through all divisions. Oh, mate, it is so exciting.
Well, we're getting a bit of rain now, aren't we? So
Yes.
It's going to have some sort of impact, I think. It's going to lower the scores for a start, but we might start seeing a few more surprises. In saying that, there was probably one surprise in Division 1 we'll touch on later.
Yes.
But most of the divisions, the games went as I would have thought, but gee whiz, the ground's getting chopped up now, so we've got some interesting times ahead.
Well, it's the equaliser, isn't it? If you've got a tall team and set your whole game plan up around having talls, maybe it's get the ball on the ground, punch and run and all this sort of thing. So you've got to be able to change on the fly, and we are going to cover a little bit of that with coaching a little bit later on as well. So there's a lot to get through tonight, and that excited about. We're going to go around the league. We've got all the results. We're going to cover Division 2 to 7, and then a lot of stuff in Division 1 we're going to go through with graphs and charts and statistics and the game that you live streamed.
Don't go boring people with too much analysis leads to paralysis, Tony. You
that
know
is
that.
it, yes. And, of course, we've got an interview not to be missed. It was a fantastic day down at O'Sullivan Beach Lonsdale, but also what's happening off the ground. It was the Indigenous round and reconciliation round, and it was fantastic. We've got 3 young ladies there that we spoke to at halftime. Sensational. We've got all the award winners. You're going to go through that. I haven't told you that yet, but there's a pile of award winners. The goals and marks. And, of course, when we finish up, we're going to have a little discussion just around coach support as well. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break, and we're back into it. Well, folks, we're down here at the Banner Crew. Our friend, supporter and sponsor of Between the Posts has joined us. Welcome, Jason Goods.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be with you.
What can the people out there expect to buy from the Banner Crew and get looked after?
Pretty much anything that you can put your club logo on, or a message from the club, whether it be, like you mentioned, a marquee or a flag or an A-frame or a banner, a stubby holder, a pen, anything like that, anything that you can pop the club branding on. Everything's customisable. So basically we've got an in-house design department with 2 graphic designers that can work toward getting the message across that you're after.
We're down here at 318 to 326 St Vincent Street, Port Adelaide. Jason, thank you so much for your support. Well, here we are in the Lions Den, ladies and gentlemen, and with me today is Shania and Cynthia to my left, and to my right is Caroline, and these wonderful women are helping out. Well, it is the Lions Den. It's also, tell us a little bit more about where we are today for the elders, and also what Sonda does and what they're about, please.
Hi Tony, my name's Shania. I'm the Indigenous Health Project Officer for Sonda Closing the Gap ITC across the Adelaide region. We're here today to support the O'Sullivan Beach Lonsdale Football Club as part of their reconciliation round for the year in the local club. Their reconciliation round focuses on stamping out racism in sport and across the community. So Sonda's come on board as a sponsor to support the club, support the community, and bring the community together for a shared elders luncheon here today.
And it is a fantastic event. Last year we were up in the shed there, and today we are actually in the club rooms, and look at all that magnificent food that you've got spread out there. It's a fantastic layout for sure. We'll be honing into some of that, I'd suggest. I'm just going to come across to Cynthia. I'm fascinated by the designs that are on the shirts and also the jumpers today. Can you tell us a little bit about the design on the shirt, please?
Sure. The design is actually telling the story about Sonder itself, how it started as one office, the head office that's in Ed North, and then. But as you see, it actually goes across to smaller circles, and the smaller circles actually represent all the other satellite offices and other offices that Sonder has now spread across, not just Metro Adelaide, but also in the country. So that's what we are.
Yeah, fantastic. It does tell a fantastic story there. We come across to Caroline. Now, Caroline, you're actually a nurse that helps out, and you've come along to help out again today. Tell us a little bit about what you do in your role as helping out with the nurse, because we're talking about walking the pathway with some of the people with their things that they need assistance with. Just to explain us a little bit more, please.
So I'm a registered nurse working on the ITC programme. We help Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with complex chronic disease, so we can attend appointments with them, walk the journey, help them to get there. Transport's a huge barrier for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We can support them with various things like education on their chronic disease, and also we do have some funding available to clients. So yeah, it's just walking that journey really and helping them to get to self-management.
And Shania, it is an amazing thing that you guys do, and let's get it out there. We were discussing before about, as you said, they're walking the journey, understanding that the person isn't alone. I think that's a very important thing, isn't it? Because there's so many areas that they can get assistance with.
Absolutely. In Aboriginal health, we don't just focus on the person, we focus on them holistically, their family and the community. Yeah. So we integrate the services around them, we collaborate with other services that they may need support from, and walk alongside them to get them back to self-management, and they can manage their chronic disease themselves. But we're always there at the end of the phone to support them and talk to them and get them back on that journey. Because Sonder is not just closing the gap. Sonder is a mental health organisation. That's how they started out 26 years ago, and now we've morphed into running 2 or 3 Aboriginal programs alongside all the mental health services. We do GP and nurse and allied health providers, education, resources and support right across the Adelaide APHN footprint, because we're funded by APHN as a federal initiative, the Closing the Gap. We focus on chronic disease management for those with complex care needs, but we like to come out on days like this and sit with community, yarn and support them. We know chronic disease is a huge issue for our community, but we want to sit with them too and enjoy good healthy food, and we've prepared some beautiful native bush tucker inspired foods today.
And I think it's amazing, just going back a step, what you said there was for people, we talk about people get grants and see funding and that. Well, this is the other side of it now. To see what goes on, you spoke about events through the week as well. You come here today and help out. All the colours are here. I think it's vitally important that people see, the wider community see what does go on with these workings. Now, we are going to have a little bit of fun. I might just ask you to hold the microphone, because I believe I did have some of this last year too, by the way. It is absolutely sensational. Now, tell us, what am I about to consume here, please?
Well, we've made our signature dish for the day is kangaroo stew. So salt bush kangaroo stew is what we've prepared for the community, alongside of all these native bush tucker inspired desserts. So you're about to try kangaroo stew with rice.
All right. Well, just before I do, I'd like to thank you ladies, all 3 of you, for doing a fantastic job here today. You can see the food that's here. The room is going to be chockers at half time. I just think it gets me emotional. It's absolutely sensational what you're doing, and I'm about to tack into the kangaroo stew.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Bit of meat. Oh, I'll come back in a minute. Absolutely sensational once again. I also understand there was a little bit of fun. There was a bit of singing in the car and poetry about the stew on the way here. I was lucky to make it.
Yeah, I was a bit worried. There was cars. Saturday morning soccer mums, and I was cruising down the highway with the stew in the back of the car, and I was yelling out, "Watch out, Shani is coming through. If you don't get out of my way, you'll get kangaroo stew."
Well, I tell you what, we're so grateful that you've made it. It is sensational. Thank you so much to Sonda. As we said, closing the gap. Fantastic supporter and sponsor on the day, and enjoy the luncheon, ladies. Thank you all very much for the fantastic effort.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming here today for a reconciliation round, O'Sullivan Beach Lonsdale Football Club versus Adelaide Lutheran. First of all, I'd like to put your hands together for Adelaide Lutheran for coming out today and being part of the day. Thank you. And also I'd like to thank the O'Sullivan Beach Lonsdale Football Club for being part of a marvellous day and supporting the club, not just the players but the supporters, and everyone's come out here and supported the whole day. So thank you. Put your hands together for yourselves. We've got two reconciliation medals, one to give to each side, and I'd like to ask number 29 from Adelaide Lutheran, Andrew Wilson, to come up. Thank you. I'm just going to hand you over to Mick, the president of the Adelaide Lutheran, to say a few words.
Thanks, Anthony. I said a little bit in there, but on behalf of our club, it's really cool to be involved in days like this. This is what makes community football the best type of football to be a part of. What you guys have done, not only as a club, but hand in hand with Indigenous leaders, past, present and emerging, is really special. So thank you very much for a part of that. Thank you for the welcome to your club and the welcome to Ghana land. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Our pick for best on ground for O'Sullivan Beach Lonsdale, 15, Harrison Koesler. Hell of a game, mate. Well done.
Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Well done to all players. What a great game. Played in good spirit. Well done. Thank you very much. And thank you to the umpires as well. Thank you.
Well, here we are, folks, and a mighty game played by Andrew Wilson of Adelaide Lutheran, mate. First of all, how was the heart rate in the last quarter?
Yeah, no, it was getting a bit close there for my liking, Tony, but yeah, no, it's good to see the boys hang on for such a hard-fought win.
And what does it mean for the club? You were in third position, playing fifth position, and cemented your spot in third place now. What does it mean for the club?
Yeah, mate, look, there's probably a clear top three in the league, and we really want to be finishing top two, so we've got to really push the second half of the season, so looking forward to it. And
come out today, mate. We've had all this wet weather, and you come out there, they rolled the ground, magnificent day, and it was a dry ground, so you had your work cut out around the ground?
Yeah, no, it was quite surprising. The ground was still fairly heavy, but yeah, it was a good, free, open flowing game, so yeah, we did put in the Ks today.
Mate, what does the night hold for the boys from Adelaide Lutheran? Do you go out celebrating tonight? You do prezos? Where do you end up?
No, it just turns out we've got the doggy ball tonight. So, yeah, big night for the club. We'll get back there and, yeah, get amongst each other and build.
The doggy ball, all right. Well, we'll leave that one alone, mate. That absolutely sounds sensational. You're a worthy winner of the Dartfish beanie. We'll get you to pop that on, mate, and celebrate huge tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. You played a mighty game. And we understand that it's your second beanie, so we're going to get you a pair of thongs as well, mate, from our other sponsor, Archie. So have a great night. Well done to the club. Get in and sing that song, mate, and enjoy.
Yeah, good on you, Tony. Thank you.
Good on you. Thanks so much for joining us, Andrew. Back to you guys. This segment has been proudly sponsored by The Banner Crew, raising your brand awareness and bringing your ideas to life. And Archie's Thongs, the most comfortable thong you will ever own.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a one-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, folks. Hope you got a chance to get a quick refreshment in during that great break. Now we're going around the grounds, and we'll start at Division 7. What did you see in Division 7 this week, Tone?
Yeah, so Mitchell Park got their third win with 42-point win over Mawson Lakes, and Doherty and Crystal kicked 4 goals each, so good to see them getting up high in the scores, and some good goal scorers there. Second placed Houghton Districts only won by 6 points over second bottom team Flinders Uni, with Martin kicking 6 and Harlan 4, so probably took the foot off the pedal a little bit there. And Greenacres continue to go along undefeated. 91-point win over fourth place Hackham, and Takano kicked 5. The big one here with Division 7 is this week, we alluded to it, first versus second, Greenacres versus Houghton Districts at Greenacres. We are, I believe at this point, we are going to live stream the game. There won't be commentary, but there will be live stream for those people around the league that want to watch it.
The other thing we like to watch is to see which clubs can remain undefeated. And we lost one on the weekend. Broadview got beaten for the first time, but we still have 3 A-grade sides I'm talking about that are undefeated. Greenacres, you mentioned, Trinity and Golden Grove. Golden Grove, in fact, is still undefeated in the A's and B's, so they're treading along quite nicely. But we'll head to Division 6 now, the O'Neill Sportswear Division. And all of the results there pretty well went according to positions on the ladder. I guess the one that stood out to me was Fitzroy versus Para Hills. Yeah. That was 7 versus 8 on the ladder, and the score was Fitzroy 30-17, beat Para Hills 7-11. So that's a 23-goal win for a side that's one position below you on the ladder. Big day for Fitzroy. Their women had their first win of the year as well. So I know your house back's pretty much on the Fitzroy. How was the noise Saturday night?
Yeah, I wasn't there Saturday night.
Oh, lucky.
It's would have been Party Central.
And that was probably the main result out of Division 6. As I said, all the other results went pretty much as you would expect. So we'll head to Division 5, which of course is the Wakefield Sports Clinic. And what caught your eye there, Tony?
Yeah, so 5th place Colonel Light Gardens defeated 4th place Eastern Park, even though they were below them on the ladder. It keeps them in the race with 6th and 7th, Jeps Cross and Kilburn. So there's 3 teams there all fighting for a position in the 5. And this week, Colonel Light Gardens play Jeps Cross, who are in that mix. First played second with Lockleys defeating Hectorville by 13 points, and Johnson kicked 4 goals. 6th versus 7th, Jeps Cross defeated Kilburn by 84 points for 2 teams close on the ladder, and Hampton kicked 10 goals for Jeps Cross. And also what I'd like to say there, which you alluded to before, well, you're going to get to it with the B grade, is Lockleys and Jeps Cross B grade both had big wins. So when you're up in that top 5 now, I start to look at whose B grade's doing well as well, because you need that depth, you need that 3 or 4 players out of there that might come through.
Yeah, I know, I agree wholeheartedly. So they're tracking quite nicely.
All right, time for Division 4, Sean.
I'll tell you what caught my eye in Division 4, Tony. 2v7, Walkerville versus Kenilworth was quite a close game, but Proud, who is leading the goal kick in that division, kicked another 5. But my man played on Friday night, Pembroke, in apparently a rip-snorting game against Hope Valley, 9-16 to 7-10, so an 18.3 goal margin. But by all reports, the crowd was exceptional.
Yes.
Great atmosphere, and I know Pembroke try and do that one game a year where they play at Norwood Oval, so well done to them for that. But my man only picked the 1 goal.
Forster.
Alex, don't let me down, brother. You're not on the top at the moment. You're sitting second or third, and now he's pushed behind 4 goals on the weekend. So giddy up. Paraka, well, they took care of Woodville South, but that was to be expected. And Portland, yeah, they beat Pulteney, not by a massive margin, by 5 goals. So I guess that might give Dave Kennewell, the coach of Pulteney, a little bit of hope that maybe they can pinch a win in the last. I think relegation is probably their duty bound now.
He's not the first Pulteney coach to
get relegated.
Mate.
Yes, well, he's in elite company if that's the case. But Portland, well, I'm not sure what it is about with Play HQ, but quite often we don't get the results, and it's frustrating. And I know there's a lot of clubs out there that are frustrated with Play HQ at the moment, so hopefully that can all get resolved in the future. But we'll move on to Division 3.
Yes.
Got the order right.
Sip and save, and I'm having a bit of a chuckle because we're having a good segue here. Of course, Pulteney, he's following in great footsteps there, taking them down a level. And, mate, the first team I look at in Division 3, Flinders Park, one of your old stomping grounds, won by 112 points, if you don't mind, over Westminster, and Hardy kicked 5.
Yes, but what's interesting is have a look at the best players.
Well,
The 3 best players for Flinders Park: James Schwarz, Tom Schwarz, Nick Schwarz.
Jeez, it's a Schwarzathon.
So if you want to get the best players at Flinders Park, I suggest you change your name to Schwarz.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Now, Modbury hold on to 5th position with a 30-point win over CBCOC. Verity kicked 6 in amongst the goal scorers again. 7th place Morphy Park defeated 6th place Smosh Westlakes by 32 points. Barnes kicked 7, and that keeps the finals hopes alive for Morphettville Park as well. 3rd place Edwardstown defeated Seaton Ramblers.
Big win, that one.
However, 20 goals, 16, 136 to 6 goals, 17, 53. So poor kicking by Seaton Ramblers, 6 goals, 17. And Cornish got 7 for Edwardstown. Time for Division 2, Sean.
Yeah, so lots of goal scorers in that division. Division 2, which is, of course, the breakthrough mental health round. I guess the first thing that struck me there was Foss Camden versus Salisbury North, a 1-point margin. And I reckon it was a close game the first time they played, so that would have been an absolute ripper. Declan Grant kicked 4 goals for Foss Camden, and Wellington kicked 5 for Salisbury North. So, Salisbury North, they're not out of it. They've got some work to do if they're going to play finals, but what a cracking game. The other side that's really crept up on us the last month or so has been Unley Mercedes Jets. Their form seems to have taken a turn for the better, and North Haven conversely seem to have taken a turn for the worse. I'm not sure what's happened at North Haven. They started the season in a blaze of glory, but the last month has been pretty poor, and they got beaten by Unley by 7 goals. But I did notice Nick Walk kicked 6 goals. A terrific player. Has been a great acquisition back into the side after having a couple of years off, Nick Walk. Henley took care of Gazer by 10 goals, which almost seals Gazer's fate, I think. They're really going to be pushing it uphill to get to avoid relegation. And I guess the other main result that would have not so much surprised people, but Sacred Heart 12 goals 13 beat Broadview 11 goals 5. I think that was at Broadview, and they won the A's, B's and the C's, I think, Sacred Heart. So that's good. It puts a little bit of excitement into the competition. It's not a fait accompli, is it?
It's a funny way to look at it, isn't it? Because there was an old coach years ago, you'll know who it was, used to say you're only 1 win away from your next loss. Make what you want out of that. And does it take the pressure off Broadview? Okay, we've had the loss, we get it out of the way now, we regroup, we work on what we need to this week and come out again and reload. Can they get that next win after that loss? So we can't tell who they play just at the moment.
Should mention Nathan Gordon from Broadview too. He kicked another 6 on the weekend, and everyone I speak to in the competition says he's the best player in the comp.
Wow.
And I didn't realise this until yesterday, that he actually took the AFL Mark of the Year in 2010 when he was playing for Richmond.
Yeah,
so he played
Tigers, man.
22 games for Richmond and a handful for Sydney. But he actually took the Mark of the Year in 2010. So if you've got nothing else to do with your time, folks, go back and Google the 2010 Mark of the Year, Nathan Gordon. He is an absolute ripper for Broadview.
Yeah, well done, young man. All right, time to move on to our Division 1 wrap.
Well, good day, footy fans. Welcome to the time of the show where it's the women's wrap, our chance to have a look at all the women's footy results across the Adelaide Footy League from Division 6 to Division 1, including the reserves grades as well. We start with the Power A Division 6, Loretto in their inaugural season. Another win to them, 8 goals over Rosewater. Modbury on the road, beating Adelaide University by 38 points. And the big surprise of the division from the weekend, Marion, handing the Edwardstown side their first defeat of the season. A narrow one by 8 points. Meanwhile, Athelston had the bye. The ladder, despite the loss, Edwardstown still on top from Loretto Old Scholars by a game and a half. Marion half a game back, and Modbury in the 4. Remember, every division has a final 4. they're in. And they're a good game and a half and percentage ahead of Rosewater at the moment from Athelston and Adelaide University. Is the 4 set? Maybe give it another week or two and that looms likely. The games this weekend, round 11 in Division 6, Marion host Rosewater. Edwardstown will get back on track. I don't want to be in Adelaide University's shoes. And Athelston host Modbury. If Marion and Modbury get up, the 4 is set. Loretto, Old Scholars have the bye. Moving to the Safety Hub Division 5, North Haven over Woodville South by 14 points. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. The Fitzroy women have their first win. They took care of Kilburn at home by 16 points. I'm sure a good night was had by all there at Sam Johnson Sports Ground. Elsewhere, Eastern Park continue their domination of this division, a 36-point win over arch rivals Elizabeth at Dwight Reserve. The ladder, as you can see, Eastern Park 9-1. The way of the reseedings and so forth, they've got a 3.5 game gap from second place Woodville. Elizabeth and North Haven have losing records. They're in the 5. Kilburn just a half game back, still very much in contention. And the Roys, Fitzroy, are on the board. Games this weekend, Eastern Park and Woodville South. Despite those records, believe it or not, that's first versus second. Eastern Park will be strong favourites. North Haven and Fitzroy, can the Lions win a game on the road and affect the top 4, whilst Elizabeth host Kilburn, the Chicks needing a win to get back into that 4 at North Haven's expense. To the Village Bakery Division 4, and here Pulteney held West Croydon goalless, a 15-point win. Hectorville over Ingle Farm by 29. Pembroke maintained their league leadership, 32 points over Lockleys, and Jeps Cross held Glenunga to just the 1 behind at Duncan Fraser Reserve. The ladder in the Village Bakery Division 4, Pembroke a game ahead of Jeps Cross, a game ahead of, that's where the logjam starts to start. Pulteney and Hectorville in the 4, Ingle Farm just a win and a fair bit of percentage back for the Farmers. Lockley starting to drift a further half game back, and then I think West Croydon's season just about done. Glenunga's most certainly is. The games this week, it's 6th versus 4th. Last chance for Lockleys, I suspect, playing Hectorville, the team they would have to replace in the 4 to play finals. Pulteney 3rd, hosting Pembroke 1st. That is the game of the round at Morgan Oval. Ingle Farm 5th, hosting Jeps Cross 2nd. Again, probably last chance for the Farmers. They need a scout to jump Hectorville, and it should be, I would think, a pretty easy win for the 7th place West Croydon. Although it is 7th versus 8th, maybe this is Glenunga's opportunity to get that 3rd win. That will be at Webb Oval, home of the Rams. 9 News Division 3, Mitcham kept Scotch winless, 19-point win. Pretty short trip there for the Scotch Old Collegians to Mitcham. Golden Grove in Flinders Park was a crackerjack contest. The Kookaburra contest. Golden Grove holding off Flinders Park at Harper's Field by 1 point. Goody Saints and the Bombers, Goodies getting up there by 13 points. And Kenilworth was a division of close results this round, beating Hope Valley at Hope Valley by just 2 points. What does it mean in the ladder? Well, Goodwood Saints and Golden Grove are out in front. Goodwood Saints with a 1-win advantage there. 2 games further back, Flinders and Brighton. Hope Valley, probably the only team. Well, Mitcham would probably say there's still a chance as well. Just a game and a tiny bit of percentage back. Kenilworth, yeah, game and a half, 4 or 5 to go, maybe. Scotch, season done. They've just got to get 1 win before the year is out. The games this weekend in the 9 News Division 3, Flinders Park host Hope Valley. That's 3rd versus 5th. Big game for both, but not as big as the top of the table clash at Goodwood Oval. The Saints and the Kookaburras, the Golden Grove Kookaburras, at Goodwood Oval that Saturday afternoon. The other Kookaburras, Kenilworth, they host Scotch Old Collegians. 7th versus 8th. Is this Scotch's chance to get that win? And Mitcham and Brighton, 6th versus 4th. Could be Mitcham's season, I suspect, on the line here. If Brighton get up, that gap may well be too much. Cinderella's Commercial Cleaning Division 2 reserves. Golden Grove beat Flinders Park, unfortunately on the forfeit. Goodwood Saints ran a clean sheet over Brighton by 96 points. Tea Tree Gully beat Gazer by 56. Yep, it's a reserves comp. You get these big results. Tea Tree Gully and Goodwood look to be the class above. Flinders Park trying to stay in touch, as are Golden Grove. Is the 5 set? Well, Henley will have to get a wriggle on. both in premiership points and percentage. Then it drops to Gazer and Brighton Bombers with just the one win and the percentage below 20. And that's the SA type percentage below 20. Games this round in the reserves. Tea Gully hosting Henley, first versus fifth. Flinders Park and Gazer, a chance for the Reds to secure a finals berth. Goody Saints and Golden Grove, that second versus fourth game of the round at the Goodwood Oval. And the Brighton Bombers have the bye this weekend. To the actual league level of Division 2, Anglevale beating Flinders Uni by 21 points. Gazer over Tea Gully by 37. That's a big win to Gazer. And Blackfriars 40 point winners over Henley. What does that do to the ladder? Well, Blackfriars now have a game, 2-point gap over Gazer, 2-point gap over Flinders. Flinders, Anglevale, Tea Gully, and even Henley still have a chance for that fourth spot, even if it is a 16 comp. There will be a final four in Division 2. The games at the league level, Blackfriars and Flinders is first versus third game of the round. Tea Gully fifth versus sixth, virtually an elimination final for those two sides. Gazer and Anglevale be pretty cracking hot as well. So the top four teams playing each other in this comp. Should be a great round. Buddybet, Division 1 in the reserves. Morphy Parks by just one over Adelaide Uni. Not as close at Old Ignatians, Karen Rolton, as they beat Broadview by 45. And Smosh beat up on the Happy Valley Vikings by 41. Falcons the bye. In the Buddybet Division 1 reserves, Smosh still a game ahead. Then there's a logjam. Payneham, Norwood Union, Morphy Parks, Adelaide Uni, Old Ignatians. 4 teams, 5 wins. 3 will play finals, 1 will miss out. Broadview, a silly chance, but they're starting to run out of games, and Happy Valley, their season pretty much done in the reserves. What about the league? Well, Morphy Parks go from strength to strength. On the road at Adelaide Uni, won by 19 points. Broadview held off Old Ignatians by 5. And Smosh, Happy Valley haven't had the greatest run of it recently, even at league level. Smosh starting to charge up the ladder, 27-point win. Again, the Falcons having the bye. The ladder in our Premier Comp in women's footy, Morphettville Park. They're steaming ahead now. 2-game break on Happy Valley. We have a game break on Old Ignatians, Adelaide Uni and Smosh. It is a logjam. Those bottom 5 sides separated by just 1 game. Fair bit of percentage, but still 1 win. And 2 will play finals, 3 will be watching. That's just about it. Just the Division 1, Buddybet Division 1 games, of course, double headers, reserves and league. Broadview and Happy Valley at Broadview. Smosh, West Lakes and Adelaide Uni, twilight night games at Bartley Terrace, and also twilight night games at Payneham Oval. Payneham, Norwood Union hosting Old Ignatians. Morphettville Park have had a great run. It's going to stop this week because they have the bye. Alrighty, that's a lot of women's footy. There's more to come. 4 to 5 rounds left for all the competitions before we head to finals. Things are starting to firm up. Whether we're in the finals, out of the finals, or it's going to go down to the wire. My name's Phil Herden. We'll be back on Between the Posts same time next week. Until then, back to Tony, Jacko, and the crew.
Welcome back, folks. It's time for the Buddybet Division 1, and let's go through it, Sean. So, Old Iggies, they consolidate now, and I wrote at the top of my list, the teams now, are they contenders or pretenders? And it can go through each division, of course, but let's look at Division 1. I think Old Iggies now are contenders. They had a 26-point win over Tea Gully, and they consolidate now 4th spot, 27 scoring shots to 26. How'd you see it?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit concerned for Tea Gully, having watched them play a couple of times. Didn't get to see them on the weekend, obviously, but look, the oppositions always seem to get good scores against them. So they had 16 goals scored against them, so defensively they're quite poor, and I think they need to have a look at their defensive structure. It was good to see Blake Penny back for Teacher Gully because he's their captain and their first ruck. Obviously, Matthew Stent is probably as good a player as they've got, is still out with that broken hand. But that was one, they won that one early, first game of the year, Teacher Gully against Old Iggy's. Now, that was at home. In the second round, they've got a few more games. I think they've got 6 games away. I've got a feeling Teacher Gully are going to struggle to hang on to or to get into the 5. And, good win. Good win by Old Ignatians. Yeah,
and we'll cover that in a moment with the ladder as well, because you've made a very good point there, and every game is absolutely critical. Our second game, St Peter's 9-point win over Ross Trevor. Jock McClay only kicked the 1 goal. We didn't see the game, so we don't know. He does a mountain of work up the ground, up on the wing. I wrapped him up the other week, down forward. He gives them away, so I'm sure he played his part on the day. But the interesting thing, 11-11-77 to 9 goals 14-68 by Ross Trevor. So 22-20. Ross Trevor actually had 23 scoring shots and lost the game just through the inaccuracy.
Yeah, I don't buy into that inaccuracy thing, to be honest with you, unless you're actually at the game. I mean, how were those points? Were they rushed?
Tapped,
So, but you're right. In the thing that stands out there is it's an only 11-point win. A 9-point win to St Peter's. So a good effort by Ross Trevor, I think, to go that close to St Peter's on top of the ladder now.
Yeah.
So, we talked last week about Ross Trevor being in relegation zone, and they are. They're in 9th spot. So they're only 9 points off top spot. So that gives you an idea, folks. 9th on the ladder versus 1st on the ladder, a 9-point margin. And we talked not that long ago in Division 3 or Division 4 about 7 versus 8 and a 20-goal margin. So Division 1 is that competition this year where anyone in any day can win.
And interesting, I look at the half-time score. St Peter's were 5 goals up. St Peter's scored 3 goals in the second half, and Ross Trevor scored 6. 6 goals, 9 they scored in the second half of football. So, is it fitness? Is it conditions? What is it? Do you take the foot off the... I'm sure you don't take the foot off the pedal. You don't intentionally do it. Okay, here's another big one. Huge. Brighton, 16-point win over Goodwood. Goodwood have won a few close games in the final quarter. Pretender or contender? Yeah, certainly a contender. But Brighton starting to get a bit of a sniff about them. And 25 scoring shots to 19. Brighton scored 10 goals, 15. So, could have been more goals, potentially.
Yeah, that's the obvious result that stands out, isn't it? If you were picking all the winners on the weekend on Buddybet, I reckon I would have had 4 wins. I definitely would have got this one wrong. Still working out how Buddybet works, but if anyone out there wants to have a bet against me next week, let me know, because I certainly would have got this one wrong. 10-15.
Yeah.
What that indicates to me, I think that was at Goodwood, and Goodwood were hell-bent on redeeming themselves for the first game of the year when they lost to Brighton at Brighton. And there were 3 sling tackles, guys getting injured left, right and centre. So I know Luke Donaldson was certainly up for the game, so he'll be bitterly disappointed that they weren't able to solidify their spot on top of the ladder, that they've dropped to 3rd now on the back of that loss. So that was a bad loss for Goodwood Saints, and conversely, that was a terrific win for Brighton.
And Brighton were in front all day. Every break. And I saw some highlights today. As you know, we go through the marks and goals. There were a couple of ripping goals there. And when they kicked them, the crowd just were going off.
Well,
so
we've got
a lot of Brighton.
Yeah, we've got Brighton. I haven't seen Brighton for a long time. We've got them this week in the live stream game. But I must say that we had Jeff Riddle on the show last week, and he mentioned that Brighton played a very defensive game against St Peter's the week before. The scores were quite low again on the weekend against Goodwood Saints, although it is an easier oval to defend on because it's such a small ground. But, yeah, beware the wounded Brighton. They've had some good scalps this year. Yeah, and it's their second win in a row, isn't it? Although there was the bye in between, of course, but 2 wins in a row. Prince Alfred defeat Payneham Norwood Union by 55 points, 28 scoring shots to 18, so 10 extra scoring shots. The thing I want to talk about here is more about Payneham Norwood Union. We'll have a little discussion. You start planning for the next few months and maybe the off-season at PNU. How do you motivate your players now? What positives do you get out of the remainder of the season? We were discussing off air. I've only been in that situation once as a coach. So you might not win a game, but can you win a quarter? If you can't win a quarter, do you celebrate the moments? And then what do you keep, park and delete? Because a new coach, new game plan, yes, loss of players.
How do you motivate your players? What do you do in this position, Sean, as a coach?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, you need to know whether the coach is invested and he's staying for the next year. I don't know whether he's on a 2-year contract or just a single year. I'm not sure where that sits. But the beauty of the Adelaide Footy League is exactly what you're talking about, Tony. With the promotion relegation system, it allows the clubs that are at the bottom of the ladder, like Payneham, to keep fighting it out. Jeremy has still got an opportunity in front of them, albeit it's going to be difficult. They're only on 2 wins after 10 rounds. They got their work cut out. They're only 2 wins behind.
I was just going to say
so I imagine what you would be doing is you would be looking at the draw. You've got to play every team other than PAC. Pick out the 3 or 4. Traditionally, you need to win 6 to stay up.
Yep.
Sometimes you can get away with 5, but generally if you work on 6, so he needs to win 4, or Payneham need to win 4 of their last 8 games.
8 rounds, yeah.
Look at the 4 clubs you think you can win and make sure you build up for those particular rounds. And I guess if it slips away from them in the next month, then you might start reassessing and wondering what you're going to do.
And I like it, mate. I saw a great documentary on one of the English soccer coaches years ago, and he said, on a Monday, for us that would be Tuesday, when I go in, I have to be the brightest person there out of everyone because I lift everyone. So when you turn up enthusiastic, turn up switched on, because we will cover this in a moment, but they are 2 wins off the next position, which is 9th. But those teams, they're only 3 wins off 5th position.
Yeah.
Ironically, but they can lift themselves up off where they are now. And that comes down to attitude, your mental approach, your physical approach, and if you're enthusiastic and up and about it. And find a way, manufacture a way. If the ball's not going to be in the air, if it's going to be on the ground, manufacture a way that your team can plough through and get a win on the board.
Oh, look, history...
All for it.
History is littered with the team that is not necessarily the most talented winning against a more talented team, and that's the challenge in coaching, and that's the stuff that used to give me a buzz most of all.
Yes.
But beating the sides where you weren't expected to win. So
exactly.
I'm sure Payneham are very much still in that mindset that hey, we can still win games of footy. We've got to prepare to win. The question is, because it's such an even competition this year, if they were traditionally on a traditional ladder and they were sitting 10th, they might say the top 3 sides we can't beat. They're just way too good for us. But the thing is, we just demonstrated before with Ross Trevor and St. Peter's, was the gap between bottom and top is not that great. So he probably thinks every game is a winnable game. So
when you look at the ladder, you go to the for and against. So, okay, their 4s aren't that hot, but they're against. Teatree Gully have let through 924, Payneham 799. So they're actually, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 teams that have let through more points than what they have, and they're not too far off. Old Iggy's in 4th position, 728 versus 799. You find something to motivate your players and say, well, okay, if our backline's strong, let's build it and let's manufacture, find a way to get goals. Maybe we can get goals out of different players up in the forward line.
Well, and it might be as simple as, I want to work on our defensive structure and our defensive system for the rest of the year, so that when we come to next year, we can tick that box off very early and we can work on the second part of the game. The problem lies with turnover of players. So at this level, compared to going up, we know 21 players left Payneham from last year. If they lost another 21 players this year, then all that education and time gets wasted.
And then, look, the other, very quickly, folks, the other one was Teatree Gully went down a couple of years back, and I said, they've lost the suburb, and they went out, won the grand final, and back in Division 1. So it can turn around quite quickly,
for sure.
We'll move on to the live stream game, mate. Port District, 23-point win over Glenunga, 9-9, 63 to 5-10-40. What can you tell us about the live stream game, first of all?
Well, firstly, it's the first time I'd been out to Glenunga Oval. I was impressed by the club rooms there. The Oval was a little bit different to what I expected. It had a bit of a parkland feel to it, really, and quite short oval. Look, the reality is Glenunga kicked 5 goals for the game, and 4 of them came within a 10-minute patch at the end of the second quarter. For all intents and purposes, Port District had it over them for most of the day. They came at Port Districts in the second quarter, no question about that. And when you talk about having to seize your moments to win a game of footy, they came out after a 2-point lead at half-time. So they've been struggling to score, scored 4 goals late in the second quarter, came in with a 2-point tail, should have been up. They come out the third quarter, they're into the breeze, and one of their key forwards misses three set shots for goal in the third quarter. Had he kicked 2 of them, they could well have been in front at three-quarter time, coming home with a win. Could have been a different scenario. As it was, Port Districts steadied, came home against the win in the last quarter and put it to rest.
And only kicked the 3 points for the quarter, so that man kicked their whole score. And you look after half-time, they kicked 10 points and the opposition kicked 25 points, 35 points. So, yeah, interesting. So we'll have a look at the chart up on the screen now at the moment, and you see the disposals very big in Port District's favour, plus 83 for disposals, effective plus 76, that tells a tale there, and ineffective very close, so plus 7. So obviously their ineffective was very good versus total disposals. Total frees, interesting, 42-42. Maybe the umpires get together or they're watching the live stream as the game's going, so that's an interesting one. Inside 50, Sean.
Yeah, 45 to Glenunga versus 42 to Port Districts. I guess the thing, looking at the game live and then looking at the stats afterwards, that I would say to you is that Port Districts play a very quick game. They played on well. Their skill level by foot was quite good, and I thought Glenunga perhaps played a bit more of a longer game and therefore weren't able to take as many marks. What were the marks totals?
Over here, 92 to 59.
Yeah, so that's significant, isn't it? That's 30% more marks.
And just on what you've said, and this gives an insight into how coaches can think. You look at the possession, 57% versus 43. If you were putting the coaching hat on and watching that back, which everyone can now, would you be looking at where they're putting the ball? Are they kicking the ball 30 to 40 metres on a diagonal? Are they switching straight across the ground and not taking meterage? What sort of things would you have seen?
Well, what I do know is that Nathan Grimer, Glenunga's coach, was pretty unimpressed with the game. He mentioned to us straight after the game, and maybe at half-time, gee, it's a pity this is the live stream game of the week because it's a poor game. Yeah, wow. So he obviously wasn't impressed by his side's performance. I actually thought the competitiveness of the game was very good. Both sides were cracking in extremely hard, and just as I mentioned before, Port Districts a little bit more polished with the ball and able to find some forwards to kick some goals and kick straighter and deserved their win in the end. You know
what I like about that though, with what Nathan has said, is that there's an expectation that they can compete in Division 1 and do very well, and I love that from a coaching point of view. Did we lose because we just weren't good enough? Or, geez, hang on a minute, we do know that we're good enough, we just didn't execute on the day. So there's a couple of different ways to look at it. So I'm sure he'll go back over that this week and address those things. So let's have a look at this week coming up. Port District, Tea Tree Gully, St Peters, Glenunga. So that'll be an interesting game for Glenunga to redeem themselves. Old Iggy's Prince Alfred. So Prince Alfred are now just starting to climb. Payneham versus Goodwood. Interesting at Payneham. Will they take on board everything that was said tonight, maybe? Live stream game. Brighton Bombers versus Ross Trevor. Now, on paper, 8th versus 9th, but there's a big reason why that's a live stream game, because Brighton are coming on, aren't they? And as are Ross Trevor. Yeah, well, we mentioned Ross Trevor weren't too far off the number one side in the competition last week, so that would give them some hope against Brighton at Brighton. Haven't seen Brighton play for a long time, so I'm really looking forward to this game to see what they're doing and see if they are as defensive as what Jeff Riddle said. They were very, very defensive, all flooding back, and their scores 4 would suggest that is the case. What's their total? 625. So they've actually second lowest score 4 out of all the teams, Brighton. They're in 8th position, so you wouldn't expect it a lot higher. Looking forward to that game. I think this round may also start sorting a few teams out. Port Districts versus Tea Tree Gully. If Tea Tree Gully lose that one, they will start sliding, and their chances of getting into the 5 are going to be tougher. Old Iggy's versus Prince Alfred. Well, that'll give us an indication, that one, about where Prince Alfred... That'll be a ripper, I reckon. We think they're coming, don't we? Yeah. Prince Alfred. And their form on the weekend was good, so... The percentage is healthy, Sean, isn't it? Yeah. They're 4th highest percentage on the ladder. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they are really coming. We know they lost a lot of players, but on top of that, Trengo, the best player in the side, missed a lot of footy in the first round. Now he's back. At this level, you need your good players playing, so that'll be a good game, that one. their staples were in their better players on Saturday, the Jollies, the Trengoves and so on. So we look at that ladder very quickly. It's a big wrap-up because there's so much happening. But between 4th position and 9th position, there's 3 teams on 10, which are Old Iggy's, Glenunga and Tea Tree Gully, and then 3 teams on 8. Prince Alfred, Brighton and Ross Trevor. So any one of those is really fighting for 4th and 5th position.
Well,
and as we said, Payneham, 2 games off them. Someone drops away there a little bit. Well, Payneham get a run on.
Yep, and PAC could well go into the 5 after this next game.
Yep.
And I don't think there's been a week where there hasn't been a significant change on the ladder every week. So, looking forward to the Division 1 competition is well and truly alive. It's a great competition this year.
So remember, folks, live stream game, Brighton Bombers versus Ross Trevor. Very comprehensive wrap-up, but it was needed to be, and keep your eyes on it. It is a sensational division this year. We'll be back after this break.
Teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
And welcome back, folks. It's time to have a quick look at what's going on around the league. And of course, round 10 last week was Saturday the 18th of June. Yes, that is the date. It was MND round, and MND is a beast. So great to get behind the MND and support them. 9 News Live last Thursday went out to Tea Tree Gully, and Tea Tree Gully always brings out the big crowd. It was a terrific night down there with Tom Wren and 9 News Sports. They handed across another cheque from the Police Credit Union for $500. So it's fantastic support by the Police Credit Union. Sure. And Rowies Roost, Isaac and Tamika, we don't even get last names these days because guess what? They've missed as well.
Is there anyone... We've got to make it a bigger target, surely.
Maybe you, me, and Lambo better get it. And Phil.
I think Phil could do it.
Phil do a place kick or a drop kick, and
What'd
we'll
you
have
call
a
him?
go.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
The type of kick.
Right, sorry.
And the Powerade Award went to Kaz Allen. Kaz instigated and drove the Inclusive League at Tea Tree Gully District Football Club. It's up and running now, and the club is hosting games for people over 15 years of age with a disability. She has provided many people in the northeast of Adelaide a new lease on life, and the club is proud of her achievements. Well done, Kaz.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on our socials for the next 9 News Live club visit. Thursday, 20th of June, we're heading out to Marion Football Club. Sean, the award winners.
Yeah, just before I do that, I've got to say on the Inclusive League, where we called a game at Goodwood this year, and the exclusive game was straight after the A grade, and then we called a game at Tea Tree Gully where the same thing happened. And the support from the A-grade players as the Inclusive boys come on the ground was fantastic. So it is really gaining some momentum. So well done to all those clubs that are involved. And this week's award winners, well, listen, the reality is we're not supposed to take bribes. But I can tell you, we gave best on ground on the weekend to Cooper Gaffney, and I've known Cooper and his family for a while. He won the Belgravia Sports $100 New Balance and the Dartfish beanie, and slipped into Glenunga just for a couple of beers, and Peter, his dad, came in and bought us a beer. So Pete understands if we pick your son as the best on ground and he gets a $100 voucher, don't be frightened to come into the bar afterwards and buy us a beer. Good job by Cooper Gaffney. The Simon Black Player of the Day went to Gavin Shepherd from Port District as well, and the Moseley Team Player of the Year went to Sam Gray, and he won a $100 voucher from Moseley Bar and Kitchen, and Gavin Shepherd won a carton of Powerade and Archie's footwear. I've got to say the awards are sensational. The awards are better in Div 1 than they are in the SANFL for the awards.
It is great, yes.
So thanks to all our sponsors there, and it was good to see Sam Gray play, I've got to say, in the weekend. First time I've seen Port Districts play this year, and we'll talk about them in Division 1, but he's certainly an impressive player. For the goals and marks of the week, last week's goal winner was Daniel Harris from Rosewater, and the mark of the week, would you believe, I awarded this one as well, went to Cooper Gaffney.
Oh, No, you only award what you see, mate. I'll be
Oh,
honest.
I don't. I award who looks after me after the game. So, no, well done to Cooper. So keep an eye out this week for the goals and marks on social media and put your vote in. And don't forget, if you've got your own nominations, feel free to send them in to us. We're more than happy to look at them.
But Mahuda goes all the way. Where again, Mahuda?
Good grab by Anjana, then Crone late. It's Anjana the Grey. Anjana.
Hill Holders went out best.
Life on the wire. Twitchy Frank. Twitchy Frank.
Classic legend, Wild Planet kicking back, Crone dashing through, will beat the lot of them, Crone!
Larthalay's coming out, and they reach the line, nearly a dead heat. But this is speedy and professional. Profiteer for Mickey D is going to win easily.
Aired and continued to open them up late and won very impressively.
Well, folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show. Lots of content through there and discussion things, and we're going to finish with one last one, or maybe two.
Okay.
I just heard another coach has stepped away again. So there's a couple now that have stepped away through the season through their own choice, which is fair enough. So we support all coaches out there, of course. But the other side of that, it was great to see on social media that Broadview have reappointed Matt Burgess for another 2 years, and I think it's good that coaches get some support and they know where they stand, good, bad or indifferent. And there's a way to have those discussions. The exit discussion's never pleasant. And now it might be round 10, might be the time of the year to say, well, look, this is where we're sitting on the ladder. How do you think we're going? You know, we used to have to do reports to committees. Every club does it differently. But great to see some support for the coach there and reappointment.
Yeah, I think he'll end up coaching Broadview for longer than his dad did, which will be interesting.
Oh, okay.
I think Tony coached for 2 years.
Yep.
And interesting to see that they come out and reappoint him in the middle of the year when they're top of the ladder. Maybe they did it after the loss or before the loss. I'm not sure. When they were undefeated, would have been a nice announcement. 2 years. I'm surprised at that at Adelaide Footy League level. Don't see that too often. And hopefully they stay with their word and keep him for the 2 years that they've appointed him for, Tony.
Yeah,
so well done to them.
Good. And maybe some other clubs can follow the lead. I'm big on supporting your coaches or having your discussions with them. You got a couple of other things?
Yeah, just one thing. I attended a Tackle Your Feelings seminar out at the Para Hills Footy Club last Monday night or the Monday night before, run by the SANFL, and I encourage any club out there that hasn't done it, and there's quite a few that haven't. I think they're booked out for this year, but it is something I think as a club you should look to do and raise your interest with the SANFL. It's a free program. It really encourages good interaction amongst the coaches, the trainers, the players about looking after mental health. So well done to Para Hills Footy Club there. Yeah, and finally, we still got a bit of an issue at the league, mate, with reports. So, you know, we've mentioned this a few times. We don't want to see anyone sitting on the sidelines not able to play. We understand the tackles is a significant issue. North Haven had 5 players reported on the weekend. I'm not sure whether they all got suspended, but 5 players in one game at Division 3 level was a bit of a surprise. So, yeah, just to all the players out there, try and take a little bit more care.
Well, it's frustration, isn't it? And having been through it and worked with players with it, it's how will that affect your teammates and how will it affect the scoreboard? It's self-satisfaction for 5 seconds and you think, why did I do that? You know, you just stop, take the breath and go, no, there's bigger things out there and we want to win a game. And talking about that North Haven, you know, as we alluded to in the wrap-up, they were going along okay and a little bit of frustration creeps in. So who knows? So yes, pull your heads in, basically, all teams, because there's no joy in it. You're not a hero. Been through it, mate. It's very embarrassing to yourself and your family and your club, trust me. So not good, especially when you've got to go in two rounds in a row. Been through that. But anyway, well said.
Just on that, I think there was a player from Goodwood Saints on the weekend who might have just been coming back from a suspension who copped another one on the weekend. So
yes. All right, enough said there. So no more reports for the year. That'd be nice, wouldn't it, Sean? Hey, are we going out umpiring again this year?
Oh, I wouldn't have thought. I still haven't recovered. That's why I went to the seminar at Parry.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Tackle my feelings.
Can't you get a bit shaky when you see green?
Bit nervous every time I see that green.
No, fair enough. All right, listen, folks, it has been a ripper. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, our magnificent producer. Very quickly, our magnificent producer, we don't see much of him, Alejandro.
The Stallion.
Helped us on Saturday. Fantastic. And we also had James Moody, who's on board with us. He's a professional filmmaker, came down and helped out down at Lonsdale. And some of the work that he's doing with the clubs when we're going out doing our broadcasts is absolutely sensational. So our behind the scenes team is doing a fantastic job to put us out in front and make us look somehow respectable, Sean.
We miss Moods at the Division 1 games, I've got to say. I used to always bring a bag of lollies. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I've whacked the kilos on. Find us on social media because there's always something going up. Interviews, goals of the week, mark of the week. Remember, the 2 broadcast games this week. You guys are doing Brighton and Ross Trevor down there at beautiful Brighton. They'll host you down there. It's fantastic. And Division 7 game is live streamed, but maybe not with commentary, but still worth watching. Greenacres versus Houghton Districts. And remember, folks, whatever shots you take, may they go straight between the posts.